This time now for our Wall Street Week daily segment. David Westin, the host of Wall Street Week, joins us as he does every day at this time. And David, a lot of talk about next week here in New York. Yeah. It is New York Climate Week. And I'm learning that our next guest is actually a pretty big announcement here about their commitment to fighting climate change.
Big announcement, exactly right. And part of a larger campaign he's been part of for a good long time. He's Dr. Raj Shah, Rockefeller Foundation president, and he's the author of a book that's coming out next month. It's called Big Bets. So, Dr. Shah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, as Romaine said, $1 billion from the Rockefeller Foundation. That's a big round number that you've got going. You've been in climate before, but this is a bigger commitment than you've had before. What caused you to do it? Is this a reflection of the fact we're not making enough progress fast enough?
Absolutely. In fact, everyone's coming to New York for Climate Week next week, but they're coming in the context of having just done a big global assessment on what's actually going to happen. And most scientists now believe we're going to blow past the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris Agreement, end up at 2.5 or even higher degrees of warming. And at that level, 1.4 billion people are hungry. Dozens of countries will have conflict, strife, migration. Billions of people on coastal communities will have their communities washed out, their fisheries destroyed, and their ability to care for themselves will be gone. So as an institution that for more than 100 years has worked to serve vulnerable populations, we thought now was the time to go big, and we're making $1 billion commitment to bring public and private partners together to get the kind of leverage and scale of investment we need to help protect our climate.
We want to talk about that private commitment, but this is a continuation of things you've done. This is a big step forward, but you had the Global Energy Alliance for Planet and People, I believe it's called. How did that work? That was announced in 21. Did you make progress with that? Is this showing that you think it's going the right direction, or you need to have a course correction?
This is actually a doubling down on that commitment in some ways. We announced a $500 million commitment to create a partnership that ultimately attracted more than $11 billion in capital from governments and other philanthropies. But more importantly, we've actually shown that you can bring renewable energy to some places that most people thought we should just ignore. We're rolling out solar grids in eastern Congo, serving up to 7 million people over time with solar energy. That's replacing a lot of diesel generators and a lot of heavy fuel oil that are the other options for them. So we're doing that in more than 25 countries around the world and showing that actually the fight against climate and the fight against emissions can actually be the vehicle that lifts up some of the world's most vulnerable people.
As you try to deploy this money into those types of regions, those types of countries here, how do you ensure that the execution is done properly in a way that makes sure that that money isn't wasted?
Well, we and our partners, we do everything through partners, really do that. When the energy program and some of the food and health things that we're going to be doing with this new commitment, they're often run by commercial partners. So almost all of those projects are commercial developers. We'll work with governments to make sure there's no corruption, to make sure that the regulatory framework allows them to be successful. But we really use our money as philanthropic risk capital. I think in that DRC deal, we'll put maybe $7 million in, but we've unlocked $70 million from others, including private investors.
Okay.
Because by taking a little bit of risk off the top,
right,
you can actually attract different types of commercial investment. And in fact, the world actually needs up to $2 trillion a year for a decade in order to make the energy transition available to everyone. So that's the kind of leverage we seek to deliver.
So with this new investment or this new announcement here, what percentage now of the Rockefeller Foundation's investments now are directly tied to fighting climate change?
Well, the Rockefeller Foundation, no surprise to anyone, started with a lot of oil wealth, right? And comes out of the fossil fuel industry at its very origins. For the last 5 years, we've spent just under 25% of our resources on climate. Thanks to this new direction, we're going to spend more than 75% of our future resources on climate change. And we really do believe that if we can bring together public and private actors in fields like energy, in health, in food, we can make a huge dent in the degrees of warming and the growth in moving towards a climate catastrophe. We can prevent that.
Raj, explain that, unlocking the private sector, because you said it's trillions of dollars. $1 billion is a lot of money, but we need trillions of dollars. To the people who may be watching out there, who run big businesses, who are on the financial community, why hearing what you're doing with the $1 billion tells me, you know what, I should unlock some of the private funds to really support this?
Yeah. Well, look, every big company out there should be a big part of this transition. If you run a food company, you should join a coalition we're helping to establish that wants 50% of your supply chains to be from regenerative agriculture, agriculture that actually sequesters carbon and avoids releasing unnecessary carbon into the atmosphere. And those types of transitions are going to be fundamentally commercial transitions. So our money is designed to invest in the science, to show people how to do it, to create a little bit of peer pressure across companies, and to inspire people to aim higher as they fight climate change and do it in a way that lifts up those who are otherwise vulnerable. And in health, in food, in energy, I think we have very strong examples of public-private collaborations where, for every dollar of philanthropic money, you should be able to unlock anywhere from $10 to $100 of private capital.
What about other philanthropies? I mean, Rockefeller's a big philanthropy. There are other big ones out there, maybe even some that are a little bit bigger, frankly. Are you working together? How do we make sure that we're not sort of going at cross purposes?
Well, we try to partner whenever we can. This is way too big of a challenge to go at it alone. So our biggest projects we do together. Our energy program we do with the Bezos Earth Fund. Jeff Bezos created a $10 billion fund to fight climate. So we're literally doing that together with him and with the IKEA Foundation. Our energy programs, our health programs, and our food programs are all done with other partners. So we do think, though, if you look at American philanthropy, it's about $450 billion a year of philanthropy in this country, which is pretty amazing. But less than 2% of that is focused on climate. So we're hoping that by going first and going big, maybe not going first, others have gone, but by going big when we go, that we can inspire others to join the fight.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Shah. It's really good to have you. That's Raj Shah. He's the president of the Rockefeller Foundation and author of Big Bets coming up next month. You want to make sure you go get it.